Spring practice rolls on, and the one thing that we keep hearing is Ty Simpson is bringing leadership to the team and that he is the leader in the clubhouse for the quarterback job. We're going to talk about that. Also, basketball, Alabama, a disappointing end of the season, but looking back, another amazing year for Nate Oats and his team. Who's coming back and who's going to be gone for this team as we sit back and watch the Final Four with another team from the state. So, Alabama is going to be motivated next year to be that team. I think it helped Auburn knowing that, having to watch us last year. Anyway, we're going to get into that right here on the Bama Tailgate Show. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Great to have you guys today. Brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Let's go. What do you say, guys? Mick Gillespie, obviously not my home studio, but this is what we're going to do right now during baseball season when I'm around different places. We'll just pop up the studio and do a show because I'm going to do that for you guys, the Bama Nation, and we need one right now, right? Well, let's get into one. And don't forget, we're going to be at Innisfree on April 8th and April 12th to do shows with this channel right here, Bama Tailgate, and also with Cover Crimson. So Clint Lamb will be with me. All right, here we go. Now, right off the bat, I want to say this. This quarterback battle at Alabama has been really interesting. And I think that one thing that you're figuring out is that Bama has some very good candidates, right? Kalen DeBoer, he's got to try to figure out between Austin Mack and Ty Simpson. Some people feel like Keelan Russell is still in that conversation. You're hearing Austin Mack making throws, doing things out on the field that, give you a lot of confidence that he could play the position if they needed him to. And then Ty Simpson, who I feel like is right now the leader in the clubhouse. And I think there's a few reasons why, right? I mean, the guy's been at Alabama for a while. I mean, he's been there 4 years. He graduated. He's a redshirt junior, so he's been there. And at 381 passing yards over 3 seasons, we haven't really seen him operate the offense enough to know, hey, I mean, is this guy legitimate or the real deal? But he's been around there for a long time. He knows how things work. He's making plays. Guys like Isaiah Horton, you're hearing out of practice, is like, and Ty Simpson linking up on a lot of balls. And then I thought it was interesting too that former tight end CJ Dupree, who's heading to the NFL right now and was on the Beat Everyone podcast, he basically said that that he thought Ty's made the biggest step out of anybody on the team, just talking about how he practiced from 23 to 24. We kept hearing that too, right? And he also said that he thinks he's going to be really good. But I think all of us feel like Keelan Russell, who is the highest recruit ever for Alabama and the Gatorade Player of the Year, by the way, the first that Alabama ever had, and that means all the sports, that eventually he's going to push for that position. But there's so many intricacies in the quarterback that make it where it's a time-consuming job. I mean, unlike other sports, it's not like you can just give the guy the ball and tell him to go out there and do something with it. I mean, you got to learn where everybody else is. You got to learn the system, how to run the playbook, what happens in this situation. And so for Keelan Russell, probably the best thing for him would just be to take his time and learn. And then that's interesting to me, if you're Austin Mack, where do you fit in on this if you lose this quarterback battle? Right. So I'm going to go back to what I've said before. I feel like if they feel comfortable with Keelan Russell and they want to put Austin Mack as the starter, they could do that. But they're going to have to feel comfortable with Keelan Russell, because if you're Ty Simpson and you get skipped for that starting job, most likely you're leaving and you'll have 2 years somewhere else. So don't expect them to name the starter until maybe like the day before the season starts. I mean, this is going to be one of those things where you've kind of really push this down the line what makes the most sense though is that Ty Simpson end up being the quarterback, and then and then Austin Mack just keeps pushing him for playing time. And if Ty Simpson struggles, maybe it's a Jalen Hurts type situation. You bring him in, give him a chance to run the offense in the first game, and if it doesn't look good, and I saw Nick Saban do that there, and then Hurts won the job. So if it's that close and Ty struggles, maybe it's Mack. But I think if you put Mack in first, then Ty would probably transfer. So I think that's probably why you would do it that way, even if Mack was slightly better. Guys, tough loss against Duke. I've had time to reflect on it, and it's still so disappointing. It's not that they didn't win the game. Last year they lost to Connecticut, but just the way that they played the game wasn't good enough. It was, just you get that far, you have that good of a team, and then you just can't make a shot. Duke was just clearly better. They stymied Bama. It felt like we couldn't really, no one was ever open. Nobody could make a contested shot. But looking back on it, you got to remember, man, making it to the Elite Eight is something that we never did at Alabama. Well, one time in the past, we kind of fell into one back in 2002, right? And then all of a sudden now this is back-to-back seasons where Alabama has made a real push to be a national champion. And that Nate Oats is going to rebuild this team. They're going to lose these guys right here: Mark Sears, Grant Nelson, Clifford Amari, and Chris Youngblood. All those guys are gone. Okay, so they're all starters. They're all gone. They don't have any more eligibility. Sears and Nelson, and all of them all hope to get to the NBA. Who knows how many will or won't, but they'll be gone. Who will return? Obviously you'd love to see Aiden Sherrill return. He says he's going to. There's other guys in there that if you're Nate Oats, you start to figure out NIL money, who's available in the transfer portal. Basketball is like you just build a team every year, right? But it does hurt when you don't have those guys that you had spent the entire year training the year before come back and help you the next year. So for basketball to kind of, get back to where they to win a national championship, which is what they really want to do, they're going to have to replace their, really their best players. But I feel confident that they're going to do that. I think that they can, and I wish all those guys the best of luck. Nelson and Sears will go down as two of the best that Alabama has ever had. And, watching the way that the Final Four played out, it would have been nice to be there. But I think Alabama got as far as this team could possibly get to with, against the best of the best. And this year, the number one seeds all won. So how weird is that, right? Everybody's got a great bracket right now. Everybody takes the number one seeds, right? So anyway, how's your bracket going? Love to hear it. Show's brought to you by our friends at Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and newlifeart.com. I got to tell you this. Right now, 16% off anything at newlifeart.com. Use the promo code Bama Tailgate. How'd you hear about it? Bama Tailgate at the beginning on their site. And then when you're checking out, it'll see promo code 16% off your entire order with Bama Tailgate, our name in there. So that's your promo code. Take advantage of it as you pimp out your man cave with some of those great Daniel Moore prints. Look at this room. Needs some Daniel Moore prints. Don't have one in here yet, but I gotta get one to put right behind me so we feel at home when we're on the road, right? And then finally, Pearl River Resort, Philadelphia, Mississippi. Final Four is coming up. You want to go somewhere and hang out and do it the right way? Yeah, go over to the Timeout Sports Lounge at Golden Moon Casino. An hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours and change from Birmingham, and it's a great place. You'll love hanging out there, and they've got a great golf course, the Azaleas and the Oaks, at which is a awesome golf course, Dancing Rabbit. They've got the spa and a lot of other great stuff too. So that's Pearl River Resort. All right, guys, thanks for hanging. We'll do it again tomorrow. Roll Tide.
Pearl River Resort.